I've been thinking a lot this last week about purpose. I remember when I was a kid and my purpose was so clear. Like I knew I was going to grow up and be an NFL football player. You remember? Like what was your purpose when you were a kid?
I don't remember you ever talking about being a football player, but
When I was a kid.
oh, when you were a kid.
Yeah, when I was a kid.
Right. Well, I mean, let's face it. When I was a kid, I thought I would be directing Lego movies my entire adult life.
Like Lego movies like the ones now, which are pretty amazing.
Yeah, don't think of Lego movie, the Lego movie. Like this was, keep in mind, I'm 84 years old. So the back in the day, Lego movies wasn't a thing. It was just, it was me in my bedroom with a camera and all my Lego sets, and I would set up the camera, my shot and everything, and I would hit start, stop. And then I would move the Lego figure ever so slightly and then go start, stop. And then
we're still waiting for your Lego movie to come out.
Oh, no, it took me all summer.
To create 5 seconds.
Yeah, I was, my dad was worried because he was like, I thought you liked playing outside. And I didn't come out of my bedroom for 3 months. And then I showed this thing. 5 minutes long, Brandon.
Yeah.
5 minutes long. It was impressive.
And it was like...
it was just the guy like,
that was
hey,
the whole
how's
movie.
it going? Yeah. So, I mean, you can find all sorts of ways to be creative.
Yeah.
Now they just make those as box sets. Have you noticed that?
They do.
Kids
Yeah,
just go
they
buy
do.
it in a box now. I had to use my brain and come up with the idea myself. I'm a little discouraged about it, but it's okay.
well.
But, as I got older, I realized that there were other things that God had gifted me in and started to dabble in those things as well, and then started to discover that my purpose was to entertain.
Absolutely.
No, I'm just kidding. But I'm discovering
You're entertaining me.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm entertained.
That is my number
I'm
one
still
job
trying to
for
wrap
you.
my head
Yeah.
around the Lego movie you made when you were a kid that was 5 minutes long. I mean,
It's
that alone is entertaining
Oscar
to think
potential.
about. Oscar potential,
It almost made it.
Who did the voices?
Oh, it was a silent picture.
Silent picture.
Hey,
None
stop,
of the
because,
kids know what you're talking about right now. Silent picture.
Back in the day, movies were black and white. Black and white is where they take a paintbrush and just paint over all the colors.
With black.
and white.
Yeah, got it. Got it.
Anyways, when you got older,
Yeah.
football, I'm assuming you either got tired of sitting on the bench or you started to realize that God had more for you than just that.
I am way better now. If somebody needed me to bring them water that was an actual football player, I could probably do that.
Well,
playing football, not so much.
What's your job? What's your job now?
Yeah, so now I work in sales. I'm actually a manager of a sales team. I have a group of employees that report to me, and my purpose is to help them be successful. Mm-hmm. But that's just one of my purposes. That's not even like the whole thing.
So you
right
actually enjoy helping other people succeed.
Exactly.
Which is awesome.
But you know what? It's interesting. So purposes are so vast and so broad. And so over the last, it seems like forever, it's probably only been a couple months. But my son and I, we've been reading this book, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Which is a phenomenal book. It's a little bit older book. It's been around a long time.
That's why you need your mom and dad to help you read it.
Right. Because the English in it is a little tough
bit
at
older.
times. Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely. Did you hear that they're making new movies?
New movies?
Yeah.
I thought it was just a TV series.
Well, I mean, it's on Amazon Prime. That's
Yes.
like movies coming out now.
Hey,
like
you remember
don't-
last week when you were like, "What? You don't have Netflix? I've got Amazon Prime."
You're
Rick.
set to watch Lord of the Rings. That's why you
Yes.
bought it.
That's it.
why you bought it.
100%.
I like
right.
it. Yes.
So this book, right? So it
Yeah.
talks about a bunch of different characters, right? You've got multiple main characters, and all of them have a purpose.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I love about this book, so one of the main characters' purposes is to ultimately become king, right? And then another
it's his birthright, as far as I understand.
You're right, exactly. So you do know.
So he's not like
have
he's
you
not-
read this?
Yeah, of course I've read it, but I'm not going to tell you that.
I'm just checking. So yeah, and then so another one of the main characters' purposes is to destroy like the most evil ring in the entire universe,
And
right?
it's not like he just picked it up at a pawn shop and was
No.
like, "Oh, you know what? This thing looks pretty cool. I'll just make this about my life." It was handed to him.
Yeah, it was.
And said
it was almost
it
an
was asked-
accident, except for it wasn't.
No, right. And that's often what we find ourselves in, the things that we end up starting to do in our life, but also start to become in our life.
Right.
A lot of it isn't by accident. Sometimes it feels like coincidence.
Right.
But often it seems like it has more of a divine purpose,
There's
which
a-
is
yeah.
pretty much like, it seems like
Designed.
yeah, like that God has things for us. We talked about, like,
Right.
last week, our verse was that we've been made for good workmanship. Like,
Right.
God's prepped us in advance for good things.
Right.
And
Exactly.
most certainly, and some of those characters in Lord of the Rings, they did not care for what maybe their purpose was,
Absolutely.
and pushed back from it. And you watch in those stories that there's a lot of resistance then, that makes it very difficult for other people to complete
Yep.
their purpose. And so it's even cooler to know that not just my purpose, but Brandon's purposes are intertwined together, that God's bringing us together. And when
Yep.
we are choosing to follow what God has given our purpose to be, how much it makes other people, it helps other people, but it also makes other people's purposes run so much smoother and easier for them.
That is the amazing part, right? Is that one of the main characters, Frodo? He's got this incredible purpose, right?
Yeah.
But he can't do it on his own.
He can't.
So there's this other character who I love. It's named Sam Gamgee, right? And so his
Yeah.
purpose
Rudy.
is to support. Yeah, right, exactly.
I was trying to back to
Nobody else
football.
got that.
No, but that's for the adults that are
right,
listening.
there we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Yes.
So Sam's purpose is literally to support
Yeah.
Frodo through this whole thing. Just, I was trying to be so serious there, and then
you
you
are.
You
You're
were
doing it
sipping
good.
Cheetos out of your Lego cup. So good.
Okay. Anyways,
So,
yes, that's
this
why the first book
reminds
is
me-
called Fellowship of the Ring.
right.
Yes.
Right. So this whole purpose, this Sam's purpose, reminds me of this section we find in the book of Esther, where Mordecai is talking to Esther. Do you mind if I read it to you?
I mean,
Yes,
if
please.
it's a bedtime story, go right ahead.
Please.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right. This is Esther 4:14. For if you remain silent, and again, this is Mordecai, remember?
Yeah, not
You're not
Malachi.
sleeping yet, are you?
Oh, no. Not
good.
even remotely close.
Perfect.
still
This
boring.
is riveting.
I mean, yes, it's
You're
very
riveted.
interesting.
For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arrive from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to royal position for such a time as this.
Very nice.
Exactly. I know, right?
So the story is basically saying that, like, look, that our people need help right now, or for Malachi and for Esther, the Jewish people need help.
Mordecai.
Mordecai. Right,
Malachi's
sorry.
a different character, but I knew what you meant.
Ding. Oh, that's my little board of all my misses over there. All right,
it's okay.
So they're in help. They need help right now, and you're saying that Mordecai.
Yes.
Mordecai.
That's a win.
Oh, is it? Oh,
That's a
because I
win
had it
right
read,
there.
but there was the brain process that was like.
I saw you really thinking
It
about
was
it too.
hard.
Mordecai. Yep,
Mordecai
nailed it.
is looking for a way to help Esther see that her purpose in
Yes.
this moment is God designed, divine plan. She is there for that moment. And he even
Exactly.
says that God will still have his will take place and still happen
Right.
with or without you. But what if you are been put here for this moment?
For this purpose.
Yeah, and-
Exactly.
There's so many times when I see in people's lives that we constantly are asking God, like, God, what do you want me to do?
Right.
What do you want me?
Right.
And often when I do that pondering, I get caught up in thinking like it's something really far out.
Yeah.
That I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking like it's 5 years down the road. I keep
10-year
thinking,
goal.
Yeah, 10-year goals,
Yeah.
things like that. And I'm like, oh, okay, so there's going to be a lot of work ahead. But often God's will is right here, right now. There are things for me right now.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just need to stop like closing my eyes
Right.
and opening them and seeing how God is working right now to discover the pieces that he wants me to participate. Big
Right.
word. Participate.
Spell
It
that.
means to to bring it all together for that moment.
Yep.
And it's so cool that God wants us to like be part of his story
Right.
and his purpose for us, and that we get to like be involved in it. It's really cool. I love that.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. And and purpose is, because we do have a tendency to dive in and think of purpose as like your one purpose and your only purpose.
Right, like
and-
we try to define it.
Right.
And it's like
this is it.
this is- this
everything you've lived for up to this
It
point
always
is
came down
boom.
to this moment.
And once
yeah.
you've achieved that purpose, then what, right? But purpose is so much bigger than that, isn't it?
Yeah. So my son Josiah,
Yeah.
amazing upper body strength.
Right.
Guy is built, wouldn't know it, but he's 4 years old.
Yeah.
He's kind of scrawny for his age. He's in the 0 percentile. He was born prematurely.
Okay.
And when he was born, he had a heart condition, and he was going to have heart surgery when he was born.
Scary.
And it was really scary
Yeah.
for me as a dad. And my father was on a mission trip in Africa at the time, and then news traveled to him. We found out a week before he was born that he was going to need this surgery.
Okay.
And so my father in Africa, he was with a tribe, and he told them about what was happening with him as he was discovering the news, and they decided to pray together. And they prayed in that moment, and they prayed for a new heart.
Awesome.
They prayed that God not just help with the surgery, make sure the surgery goes well. They just prayed for a brand new heart. And my son, when he was born, the doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong because his X-ray scans basically showed a completely different heart. And I tried forever to get from them, like, what do you mean by that? And, tell me what you mean. And they said, we just can't explain it, but there's nothing wrong with his heart. And what's so cool about this is that we decided on the name Josiah. But in Josiah, in Hebrew, means that Jehovah has healed, that God is
Wow.
healed. And we didn't quite pay attention to the naming of our son like that until afterwards. And it was so cool to see how God used people on a different continent, in a different nation.
Yeah, it gave them a
and
purpose.
it gave them purpose in
Right.
that moment. But here's the thing for Josiah. His story doesn't end there. It's crazy because you wrap it up in a bow and it's really nice, right?
Yep.
But that's the beginning
Right.
of Josiah's life. And so
Right.
God still has purpose for Josiah even after all that happens. So even like as we go through things that we're like, oh man, this is really rough and I hope that there's purpose in this, even
God's
after
got a
that,
design.
God still has more for us.
Right.
Like we keep trying to think of like what's our purpose and try to define it.
Right.
But so many times we discover that God has infinite things for us that are part of our purpose.
Created works.
Yes.
Right.
Do you know with Legos?
Right.
By the way, this is a solid set that you can buy on Amazon.
I
Anyways,
have Prime, so I can get it next day.
did you know with Legos that there are over 12,000 pieces that are out there?
Is it
each with a
12,000?
12,000. I mean, a while back they cut it down. They chopped it down to 6,800. But even still,
Was
with
it-
that many pieces, there is so much that you can create. But each one has a unique, individual purpose.
Yeah.
But can do infinite number of things.
That's
Isn't that
amazing.
cool?
Yeah,
Isn't
that is
that
awesome.